Hi there, my name is Asher Platts, chair of the Maine Green Independent Party. Today's script comes from Maine Green Independent Party member Ben Schattenburg. Ever notice that the names of the two major parties are kind of ironic? The word democracy comes from the Greek word demos, the people, and kratos, power. The word Republican comes from Latin, meaning for the public. But big D Democrats and big R Republicans rarely seem to be concerned with ensuring that our government is either people-powered or for the public. Our elections are billion-dollar marketing campaigns funded by Wall Street, in which both sides try to gouge each other with attack ads, and have left us with a Congress that is incapable of attending to the nation's most basic daily needs, let alone finding solutions to our nation's larger problems. It's easy to see why confidence in government is so low. There's a phrase being thrown around in Europe so often that it's got its own name, TINA. It's shorthand for there is no alternative, meaning there's no alternative to austerity. This simple turn of phrase is used by majority parties in Europe to limit discussion, to limit the scope of debate, and to justify the economic downward spiral that enriches banks and impoverishes the public. Here in the United States, majority parties not only parrot the line that there is no alternative to austerity in order to limit debate in the halls of government, they also work their hardest to limit debate, discussion of ideas, to make sure that there's also no alternative at the ballot box. We need major electoral reforms to ensure that our elections are more competitive and our government is more responsive. But both parties have made it very clear that they would like for our elections to be as free of competition as possible. For starters, Republicans and Democrats have built an impressive record of trying to squash threatening third parties, either by kicking them off the ballot through legal intimidation and maneuvering, or by rigging debate so that most people aren't even aware who Gary Johnson or Jill Stein even are, let alone what they stand for. The two parties feel so entitled to being the only parties on the ballot that even here in Portland, members of the Democratic Party insist that Green Party members are stealing votes from the Democrats, even though our candidates routinely finish second or even win. Nationally, Republicans have become more and more brazen in their attempts to obstruct the citizens' right to vote. In both Maine and across the nation, Republican-controlled states have passed a flurry of laws designed to make it harder to vote. The flimsy pretense offered for these voter ID laws and the repeal of same-day registration is that they're trying to prevent voter fraud. But it's transparently obvious that the Republicans are pushing laws to further their own political fortunes. They know that these laws will depress turnout amongst groups that traditionally support Democrats, like college students and minorities. But that's not to say that the Democrats are therefore the great vanguards of our democracy. The two parties aren't immoral, but amoral. They both treat politics as a knockdown, bare-knuckle fight in which any tactic that they can get away with is fair game so long as it furthers their interests. To make up for his own manufactured budget gap, our Governor Paul LePage has proposed eliminating clean elections. This would naturally open Maine's state elections even further to the flood of cash that has swamped the rest of the United States post-Citizens United. It's important to remember, though, that Maine's Democrats are also guilty of undermining Maine's clean elections. LePage's Democratic predecessor, John Baldacci, rather than making our tax structure more equitable in order to raise revenue, instead raided the Maine Clean Elections Fund, only then to turn around and claim that there wouldn't be enough money to fund the next election. The Democratic Party's solution was to amend the Clean Elections Law to make clean elections funding all but inaccessible. This was done by demanding that candidates raise large sums of seed money in order to qualify for clean elections. Having a clean election system that demands that candidates raise prodigious amounts of cash undermines the whole point of having a clean election system. Our democracy is in urgent need of repair. There are two key reforms that would help restore public's faith in the power of voting. First, we need to move to either ranked choice voting or a proportional representational system. The fundamental issue, though, is that we need a democracy that encourages more than two voices in an election and produces a winner that best reflects the will of the voters. We need electoral reform, and the only way we can get that electoral reform is to vote for people who will enact those reforms. Just as important, we need to get serious about clean elections on the local, state, and federal level. The power that the hyper-rich hold in our elections has destroyed the faith that we live in a government in which actual people vote for their neighbors to govern on our behalf. While much needs to be done to restore our democracy, the first step would come from having clean elections. This would help blunt the influence of big money in politics and enable those without the backing of wealthy interests to be heard. And this is what distinguishes the Green Party from the two Wall Street parties. First, we have our 10 key values, which we base all of our policy positions on. The other parties have no such core values, and can even change their entire platforms from election to election. One of our 10 key values is grassroots democracy. We treat the right of every citizen to a government that is for and by the people as sacred. From major landmarks like women's suffrage, to comparatively smaller reforms like introducing a recall process, the process of becoming a more perfect union has always been advanced and measured by changes in our democracy. We ask that you join the Green Party in our fight for a more direct democracy with more citizen participation. One way that you can do this is by starting a local committee in your town. At maingreens.org you can find our local committee handbook to help you get started. You can also contact me at asher@maingreens.org if you have any questions or would like any assistance. While you're there, please also take a moment to donate $5 to help us in our goal of raising $20,000 for the fiscal year of 2013 so that we can hire full-time paid organizers to go into the field and assist people with organizing their communities. Thanks so much.